Good afternoon, Trump family. Welcome to Open Source News. Have a good day and God bless you. Alright, the following is a collection of news from Patriots. Let's get into the news this Friday morning. And Eric Swalwell is having a real one right now, having a complete and utter meltdown over on Twitter, because he's been kicked off the Intelligence Committee among some other committees as well. Him and Adam Schiff, Ilhan Omar, and others could be facing the act. Of course, we already know Adam Schiff has been kicked off the Intelligence Committee because of his leaking of classified documentation to his favorite reporters in the mainstream media in order to damage his political opponents. And of course, we know Eric Swalwell had been compromised by a Chinese spy named Fang Fang, who had slept with many times as a U.S. congressman while serving on the Intelligence Committee. And he wonders why he's being kicked off. Well, Kevin McCarthy, the new Speaker of the House of Representatives, is keeping to his word by kicking these people off of the committees that they had been on for so long. And who knows how much had been compromised of our national security because of these people who hate this country. So kudos to Kevin McCarthy. We will be calling balls and strikes with Kevin as we will continue to keep an eye on him and how he handles the Democrats and of course of mainstream media and continues to uphold conservative values and principles and not caving in to the Democrat Party. So we'll continue to monitor and watch and see how he does. So let's dive into this tweet here. And then I have a video of Kevin McCarthy breaking down why Eric Swalwell is no longer on the committee. I tweeted out that the reason Eric was kicked off the committee is because his ranchit farts well, and sleeping with Fang Fang. So let's go and take a look at this tweet over here by Eric Swalwell, and it says a breaking Representative Donald's omit on the readout that Kevin McCarthy is kicking me and Schiff and Ilhan Omar up our committees purely out of vengeance. That's not the reason, Eric, but yeah, that plays into it because your party started it last Congress, where you decided to go ahead and kick off members of Republicans off committees, because you didn't like their politics. So the shoe's on the other foot. Let's go and take a listen to what Kevin McCarthy had to say about the reason he kicked off Adam Schiff. Alright, let's go and take a look at this where Kevin McCarthy tells you why the reason, Eric Swalwell not gonna be on there. Everyone listen to this, he says. Why I was very clear early on. Let me phrase some very direct to you. If you got the briefing I got from the FBI, you wouldn't have Swalwell on any committee. And you're going to tell me other Democrats couldn't fill that slot. He cannot get a security clearance in the private sector. So would you like to give them a government clearance? You asked me questions about Santos. You asked the questions about Swalwell. Not only was he getting a clearance, he was inside an intel committee. He had more information than the majority of all the members. Did you ever raise that issue? Know what you should have? You're going to tell me there's 200 other Democrats that couldn't fill that slot, but they kept them on it. The only way that they even knew it came forward is when they went to nominate him to the Intel Committee. And then the FBI came and told the leadership then he's got a problem. And they kept them on. That jeopardized all of us. Adam Schiff openly lied to the American public. He told you he had proof. He told you he didn't know the whistleblower. He put America for 4 years to an impeachment that he knew was a lie. At the same time, we had Ukraine. At the same time, we had Afghanistan collapse. Was that the role of the Intel Committee? No. So what I am doing with the Intel Committee, bringing it back to the jurisdiction, is supposed to do forward looking to keep this country safe. Keep the politics out of it. So yes, I'm doing exactly what we're supposed to do. And then some significant news. Now there are a lot of destructive ideas in woke culture, but one of the most destructive is the healthy at any size cult. This group of individuals that deems anybody who claims of being massively, and I mean morbidly, obese as unhealthy as fat phobic. Speaking from a point of privilege, some leftwards even go as far to say that basic health standards are racist and misogynistic and ism. This aneurysm, that the list goes on. It's all just so utterly ridiculous. It's so crazy, but most importantly, it's not okay. It's not okay to tell people who are not okay that they're just fine the way that they are. It's not okay to talk about morbid obesity, and the word morbid means that you're going to die. I mean, it's death that we're talking about here, as if it's something just normal that should be accepted. Once again, the woke mob, ignorant left droids, are unintentionally doing the bidding of terrible corporations who are preying on Americans with their campaigns and business practices. And they don't even seem to know it. There's a fashion company that just launched a campaign ad and we just got to talk about it. Alright, folks. So take a look at this at Yahoo Live Parade launches. Replay underwear sizes up to 5XL, and here's the campaign promo picture that everyone is talking about. Now, do I really need to mention why people are outraged over this photo? The glamorization, the promotion of this kind of morbid obesity is not something casual, something that you must accept or else you're a bigot. It's something deeply unhealthy that should not be promoted. This person is not going to live a very long. This is sad. I mean, look at this individual's ankles. You're telling me that this person isn't at risk of serious heart disease, blood clots in their legs, blood clots in their arteries, diabetes, and much more. It's got to stop. These people are in need of serious help and woke ease. You aren't helping people by accommodating to them and making their lives easier. In other words, enabling people who are literally ending themselves slowly in front of our very eyes. If that's what woke left boids do, they see somebody who's suffering from extreme drug addiction and their response is, we're gonna give you a house, we're gonna give you free stuff, we're gonna give you free money. We're gonna give you paraphernalia so you can continue to do what you're doing. And we're going to enable your routine and your bad habits that got you here in the first place. And now we're seeing an epidemic in Democrat cities that are taking this approach. And it's the exact same thing when we need to be having a real conversation with a little bit of tough love as to how we're going to fix this. Leftwards don't seem to understand that as they promote this stuff. They're essentially doing the marketing bidding of major corporations that are preying on Americans. You know who stands to benefit from this? Textile manufacturers. You know who else stands to benefit from this? Major food corporations who are packing sugar and corn syrup and all these terrible vegetable oils and unhealthy additives and preservatives, promoting cheap, empty-calorie food, addictive food to American consumers. You're doing the bidding of companies like Coca-Cola and Nestle as you claim to be all virtuous, so compassionate and caring. Well, if you really cared about people, you'd be able to say that this is wrong. This is not something that should be promoted. And it's also personal for me. I know the consequences of not taking care of yourself. I used to drink sugary drinks like iced tea almost like a bottomless pit. I'd sit at my desk playing World of Warcraft 17 hours a day straight non-stop, drinking iced tea and eating crappy food. Well, you know what? I don't exactly know what happened to me medically, but I started to get heart palpitations. I became unhealthy, and then the actual health ramifications made me develop almost like this anxiety disorder. And the moment I started to take my health seriously and started to eat good food, the moment I stopped drinking those terrible sugar waters, all of a sudden I feel great. And it's been 8 years since I've drank soda. I drink nothing but water. I eat a steady diet of good proteins and veggies and non-processed food, and especially non-processed bread, and I went from being out of shape and feeling horrible to feeling healthy. Again. We are experiencing an epidemic right now. People are dying. And there's a whole industry that stands to benefit off of morbid obesity, the healthcare industry, the fast food industry, the cheap garbage snacks industry. They're the ones who are spending millions of dollars lobbying this healthy at any size, fad acceptance movement. It's a frickin' scam. It's not woke compassion. It's corporations that are preying off of weak minds. You know, I keep asking myself, how many examples of corporate woke NUS are we going to need to expose before people wake up? Last week we covered a whistleblower story that woke was teaming up with the NAACP to target their opponents, labeling them as racist. The NBA uses Black Lives Matter to promote virtue. Meanwhile, they have deep connections to the CCP that's running amok in Africa and violating people's human rights, namely the use of your Muslims. You have pretty much every single corporate entity all over Twitter, and of course on other social media platforms, and even traditional media platforms, celebrating pride in the LGBTQ communities as allies. Meanwhile, not exactly brave enough to do the same thing in the Middle East. It's endless examples of corporate wokeness, where they use these woke ideas as tools to benefit themselves. They manipulate leftist activism, yet we continue to see this holy matrimony, this marriage between these woke left droids and these corporate entities. They're using you as pawns. Like I said, I don't know how many more examples we need for people to start waking up. You're not actually healthy at any size. That's just what big sugar, big vegetable oil, and big processed food wants you to believe. I know what it is to be unhealthy. Obese, craving foods, overeating, not moving your body. I know what it is because I've been there. And those are some of the darkest times of my life. And I don't say that lightly because suffering health issues is friggin' depressing. It brings on guilt, shame, anxiety, and it's a downward sluggish spiral. And the idea that we should be promoting it as if it's normal and acceptable is complete garbage, and I will never accept, because if you look at society a couple decades ago, this obesity epidemic didn't exist when we didn't have these highly processed manufactured terrible vegetable oils or all this easy access cheap processed food, when people weren't consuming their body weight and sugar on a monthly basis. It's time to have a serious reality check here. It's time for a serious, in my opinion, national in fact global reality check. There has to be a counterbalance to this woke nonsense, because once again, like usual, this woke nonsense is ruining people's lives. It's enabling terrible behavior. It's absolving people of basic responsibility instead of speaking honestly, instead of tackling honestly important issues that may be sensitive or hurt people's feelings. Oh, in this case, I really could not care less about your feelings. I care about your physical and your mental health. And I think that's real compassion, not playing into these corporate marketing scams and promoting fake false virtue. The woke left is at it again, and they're just as ignorant and destructive as ever. That's pretty much what I got for you guys. Just a liberal hive mind rant. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Hopefully you're taking your health seriously, because at the end of the day, the only person who's responsible and the only person who could do anything about it is you. Block out the copine. Take care of yourselves, people. Don't fall into the woke Democrat trap. Alright, thanks for being here, folks. Please receive a big hug from all of us. Let me know down below